Hey everybody, this is Rudy coming at you live from Palm Beach in Florida. I am pleased to have with me once again the living legend, Rick Rule. Welcome, Rick. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
So Rick, sort of by way of a quick introduction, not an introduction to you because everybody knows you, but an introduction to what I'd like to do today is have a little bit of fun and perhaps have a little bit of fun at my own expense because I do know from having listened to you and hearing you talk about the incredible number of portfolios that you've reviewed over the past, what is it, 1, 2 years that you've been in this business? What's about 100,000 or more portfolios that you've reviewed. And I thought maybe today what I'll do is I'll open the kimono and show you sort of my top 10 juniors, small caps in natural resources, commodities, and then we can talk a little bit about that. But before we get too deep into the discussion, first a quick hello and a bit of a disclaimer from you.
Yeah. What I wanted to disclaim is the fact that these rankings are snapshots in time. First of all, the rankings themselves are 1 to 10, one being best, 10 being worst. Uh, don't pay so much attention to the ranking because that can change. Pay attention to the commentary. I use in discussions like this the rankings as a way to introduce the discussion, and it's the discussion around the companies that has value. A piece of news, a revelation on a quarterly income statement, anything can cause the rankings to change and cause the rankings to change fairly dramatically. So it's important that you understand that a ranking as at February 23rd is necessarily often very different than a ranking that occurs in June. This is not timeless information.
Yeah, that's very common, especially given the situation that's unfolding, for example, in Mexico right now, where there's a lot of turmoil on the ground. And just a few weeks ago, on January the 23rd, Vizsla had an unfortunate incident as well in Sinaloa, in Mexico. So maybe these are just things for the audience to keep in mind and be aware of, sort of to complement what you had just shared with us a minute ago.
Absolutely. The rankings go around valuation, they go around asset quality, they go around management quality, and they go around price. Ironically, speculators, if they have a stock that went from $1 to $2, are very attracted to it.
Mhm.
If nothing has changed with the absolute value in the company, when something goes from $1 to $2, it's 50% less attractive than it was before it moved. So, ironically, often the stocks that have moved the best and that investors feel the best about have lower rankings
Mhm.
because they're less expensive relative to their quality.
Yeah. All right. So what I've done is I've kind of scooped out, I hesitate to call it my top 10, but I've certainly scooped out some of the 10 equities in my portfolio that are familiar to some of the viewers and will be very familiar to Rick himself because he introduced me to some of them. But let's sort of take them in alphabetical order, Rick. So these are not by weighting, either in terms of dollar value or shares or whatever the case might be. They're literally just in alphabetical order. And also to tie in with the comment that Rick made, I'll just add that I took the snapshots, the screenshots that I'm going to share with you at around 10 a.m. Eastern Time on February the 23rd, 2026. So they may already be out of date uh, because I haven't looked since I took the screenshots. But let me call up the presentation quickly and we'll kick it off with Aris Mining. And of course, just to start off with Aris being you know Mr. Woodyer very well, and you've known him for much longer than what I've known him. So, commentary on Aris Mining.
Uh, First of all, I own Aris Mining, so let's get
Oh,
conflicts of interest out of the way. I have it as a five. I would likely have it as a four, except for the fact that the price has done so well. There are real political and social risks operating in Mexico. Importantly, the CEO, Neil Woodyer, is familiar with operating risk, having built a company in West Africa, and familiar enough with the Colombian operating risks that rather than attempting to run this company from Vancouver or Toronto, he himself has moved physically to Medellin. You will note the inclusion of Aris on the New York Stock Exchange list. I think that the efforts of the company both in terms of drawing their assets to account in Colombia, but also in terms of capital acquisition in the largest savings investment market in the world, uh, likely takes the stock higher.
Mhm. So just a quick comment on Aris. So the ticker symbol up there, ARIS, is as of last week because they just uplisted on the New York Stock Exchange. They used to be ARMN. The other thing, just for the viewers to follow, if they wish, is the red arrow that I included on all the slides shows you the performance over the past 1 year. So basically dating back to sort of March of 2025. And as Rick just mentioned, Aris has been a stellar performer over the past year. So that's a five for Aris. How about Cameco?
I have Cameco as a four.
Yeah.
It's done extraordinarily well in a year when uranium did all right. My knock on Cameco going back 2 years was a large uranium miner bought an engineering company. And what might they know about engineering? The first two quarterly financials after that acquisition were horrific. But if you look at the financials since, it would appear that either they know a lot about engineering or at least they know enough to leave the folks at Westinghouse alone. I consider Cameco to be the best of breed in the uranium space, better, in fact, than some of the juniors, which are allegedly priced on lower metrics than Cameco. I don't believe that to be the case. Had Cameco not performed so spectacularly in 2020, 25, I likely would have given it a higher grade. The only thing I don't like about it is the fact that it's done so well. Again, I am a large and long-term shareholder of Cameco.
Yeah, I am also. And there's another comment that you've made quite a few times, Rick, that I just want to tap into for a second. You have mentioned that during 2025, if I have this correctly, you sold approximately 25% of your juniors. Um, may I deduce from that that you were up about 400%, and that made it a very easy decision for you to take some cash off the table?
Certainly, my experience, Rudy, has been when you see a parabolic graph like we had in the juniors in October, the backside of a parabolic graph is just as steep as the front side, but a little less fun.
Hmm.
I was able specifically to, by selling 25% of my junior bucket, take out all of the capital that I had invested in the sector since 2018 and also pay the capital gains tax. So I sold off 25% of my upside and I eliminated my functional downside. From my viewpoint, a very good trade. Now, the fact is that the remaining portfolio of juniors is worth what it was before I sold. So obviously the stocks have continued to go up
Yeah.
arithmetically by a quarter. Do I care? Not a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, in that regard, no one could even dare to fault you for your timing because it just so happens, as you just said, that the risk was removed, but
Yep,
the upside was still beneficial to you. You know.
correct.
Um, just another very quick comment as we go through this, you might notice if you're paying that much attention that some of them are in US dollars and some of them might pop up in Canadian dollars. And the reason for that is I actually hold equity positions in the United States and in Canada in Canadian accounts. So if you see something come up in Canadian dollars, that would be the reason for that particular snapshot. Right. The next one is one that's probably not familiar to the majority of people watching this, which is Cerro de Pasco. So comment here on that one, Nick, Rick.
I have Cerro de Pasco at a five. I would likely have it as a four, but there's too much unsettled around Cerro de Pasco. For people who don't know, Cerro de Pasco controls the rights to a wonderfully rich historic tailings deposit, which is to say the rock has been milled and processed, silver recovered from it, but silver recovered from it as much as 400 years ago. Cerro de Pasco has lovely, lovely, lovely leverage to the silver business, but little details like will there be a processing facility? Where will the processing facility be? When will that processing occur? All of that is unsettled. This is pure leverage to silver and pure entrepreneurial and political acumen. This is speculation at its grandest, not for the faint of heart. It is certainly true that in the period 2025, the increase in the silver price increased the optionality of Cerro de Pasco by a lot.
Mm.
But for people who regard themselves as conservative speculators or investors rather than speculators, understand that Cerro de Pasco is pure speculation and pure optionality.
Rick, the tailings also contain gallium,
Correct.
which of course is something that is a very strategic and critical mineral to the U.S. Department of War. And this has also benefited Cerro de Pasco a little in terms of helping them to get funding from the Export-Import Bank of the U.S.
I give them no credit for the gallium because, to the extent that the United States continues to be concerned about gallium supply, refitting uh, copper gold porphyry mills uh, can greatly increase the supplies of gallium.
Okay.
And I remember some years ago when the molybdenum price shot up, without finding any new molybdenum mills,
Mm.
we began to take molybdenum out of the porphyry copper streams, and
Yeah.
that cratered the molybdenum market.
Yeah.
I'm nervous, having once been a shareholder in Oracle Ridge in Arizona, which was a gallium germanium copper deposit. I'm always nervous myself, Rudy, about very small markets where small increases in supply can absolutely crater price. Besides which, in terms of my fondness for Cerro de Pasco, I'm fond enough for silver
Yeah.
that I don't need the gallium. Pardon me, I don't need the gallium.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I happen to have the good fortune of meeting up with Guy Goulet at the Future Minerals Forum in Saudi Arabia. And I'll just tell you a very brief story here. Guy wanted to tell me a story that sort of related back to his time at Maya, which became Aya.
Right.
And he started telling me the story before we boarded the plane. But for people who are not really aware of this, when you board a plane in Riyadh, you generally tend to board at around 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. So in addition to the fact that you're very tired, it's also the middle of the morning. But he started telling me the story when we boarded the plane and we were not sitting together. And when I got off the plane, a few hours later in London, Guy was standing at the arrivals gate waiting for me because he wanted to complete the rest of his story. So he literally got off the plane probably 20 minutes before me and just waited because he wanted to tell me the rest of the story he wanted to share. Good guy. Nice,
Determined
nice.
promoter. Correct.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Emerald Resources.
I'm a large Emerald shareholder.
Mhm.
Uh, I backed this team once before in Regis Resources in Australia, and I had a spectacular result with them. I would say in 5 starts at Regis, there was not one misstep. Uh, I have not before or since witnessed that type of implementation. Emerald started life going into a very hard country, Cambodia, and making it work in spades. If I had a criticism of Emerald now, uh, this sounds like an odd criticism. They're self-funding. They don't need to go to the banks. They don't need to go to the brokers. They're funding new construction with the free cash flow from old construction.
Yeah.
My criticism is that they're doing this without third-party bankable feasibility studies.
Okay.
I'm terrified of that. I'm
Yeah.
completely terrified of that,
Yeah.
despite the fact that I'm absolutely positively in love with these guys and they do everything they say they're going to do. They're fiscally responsible. They are resolutely against dilution. I have them as a five,
Five.
not as a four, which their track record would suggest. And this was one of the stocks that I sold in October, simply because I'm terrified that they're becoming too confident. I myself would have availed myself of more third party, if nothing else, cover your ass work than
Yeah.
they did.
Huh. Interesting comment. I had an opportunity to speak to a CEO of another mining company who also happens to be Australian, and as is Emerald Resources. And he said to me when I mentioned Emerald Resources briefly, just in passing conversation, his response was, "I don't know how they do it, but they do exceptionally well with what they have, which is sort of vague, but at the same time very, very specific in terms of what they've been able to achieve in Cambodia.
Agreed. And it's worthy to note that politically they did that very well. They drilled off 1 million ounces, which is what they need to put it in production.
Yeah. Huh.
They negotiated their fiscal agreement with the Cambodian governments, knowing that they would be able to drill off another 1 million or 1.5 million ounces. They didn't give the host government a true idea of the size of the prize.
Yeah.
This actually caused them to build a deposit with a lower market cap than they otherwise would have. But it was a very, very, very astute step
Mhm.
fiscally.
Yeah. Okay, very good. This is one you know very well.
Go Gold, I do. If Go Gold continues to fall, I will upgrade it from a 5 to a 4. Uh, the whole Mexican mining complex is beginning to unwind, if you will,
Mhm.
as a consequence of the tragic events befalling Wisla, and then much more recently, the killing of a person who was alleged to be a very, very, very important cartel figure, and the unleashing of violence that's going on currently, really across Mexico, but including even Puerto Vallarta.
Mhm.
The part of Mexico where Go Gold is, although it does have lawlessness, is not traditionally one of the strongholds of one of the more important cartels in Mexico, which is to say, you have less fear of a shadow government or cartel violence
Mhm.
here than in the rest of Mexico. Go Gold really revolves around the willingness of the president of Mexico to permit their mine.
Mhm.
She has a history of being anti-mining, and in particular anti-open pit mining. And Go Gold's proposal envisions both an underground and an open pit, which needs to be permitted. The president of Mexico has said that her own feelings notwithstanding, that she will permit mines where there's strong local support. The indications that I have suggest that Go Gold has done a very good job with regards to community in the last 4 years. It is alleged that there are 5 or 6 foreign operated projects in Mexico that will be permitted in 2026, violence uh, accepting, perhaps. And if Go Gold is, as we suspect, one of those, once the permits are in hand, the construction financing should fall in place very, very quickly.
Mhm.
And I think then the stock begins to enter what our mutual friend Lobo Tigre calls the golden runway. That period, that period before, between the time the first shovel uh, is put in place and the mine is fully completed.
Yeah, so Go Gold is also interesting for me from the point of view that the asset that they have at Parral is effectively covering their G&A, and in addition to that, generating some free cash for them. And after their last financing round, they have a healthy bank balance and no debt. I think they have about 225 or 250 million in the bank, and no debt. But they do have this sort of lag where I think, and help me out if I get this wrong or the wrong way around, but I think the original intent was for them to actually get Los Ricos South permitted, and then they flipped that and said they are actually planning to first start developing or producing at Los Ricos North. But that sort of larger asset, Los Ricos South and North, is a very rich vein and potentially exceptionally lucrative for Go Gold. Fair?
I think it's fair to say that what Go Gold has is not a mine, probably not 2 mines, but much more likely a camp or a district. I suspect when the history is written at Los Ricos, what you will see is 4 or 5 or 6 production facilities feeding a central mill complex. The juxtaposition between north and south will really have to do with the juxtaposition between open pit and underground, with the underground believed to be uh, benefiting from a different permitting regime.
Hmm.
Mexico City which is to say the president of Mexico, has been much more forthcoming in the last 4 to 6 months in saying that her opposition to open pit mining was personal. And to the extent that the operator enjoyed community support, and to the extent that commencement of mining activities was important to the economy of the local region, that she would consider that in making her permitting decision.
Okay.
We'll see how honest she is.
All right. I think it would be a game changer for Go Gold, but unfortunately we have to wait and see and be patient. Or as Rick Rule frequently reminds us, we're not holding it for the long weekend, right? So,
That's correct.
are you familiar with Heliostar?
I am familiar with Heliostar and I'm fond of the CEO. I don't own Heliostar,
Mhm.
and I have Heliostar as a five, up from a six, but I don't own it. I don't own it because although their implementation has been excellent, this is a fairly small deposit. What I've learned in my life is that whatever you do in mining, you incur big risks.
Mm.
And I don't like to incur big risks in hopes of small prizes. I like to incur big risks in hopes of good surprises. There has been pretty good money made building medium sized, medium quality assets and then selling them. I understand how that works. It just fits way outside my own personal risk reward parameters.
Mhm. And are you familiar with the deposits in the asset that they have at Anapola?
I am.
You are. Oh, okay.
I
So
am.
taking that into consideration, you have them at a five.
Correct.
All right. The next one I have for you is OceanaGold.
I no longer own OceanaGold. I have. This has been just insanely good um, implementation. They have a collection of gold assets around the world, and they've done a truly spectacular job
Yeah.
of managing mines in New Zealand, the Philippines, the United States.
Yeah.
My objection here again is that they're all small second tier mines.
Mhm.
And a collection of second tier mines is not my idea of a good time.
Yeah.
I think this stock goes higher,
Yeah.
but I don't own it. I would have it as a six. I don't like operating mines on three continents. Um, it's very, very, very difficult to lavish any mine with your love, care, and attention
Yeah.
when you're jet lagged. And I also don't like second tier mines. I like the exploration upside that they're enjoying at Waihi.
Uh-huh.
I think it has the potential to add real, real, real value.
Yeah.
But I no longer own OceanaGold. The only reason I have it as a five as opposed to a six is their free cash flow generation, which is to say the value of the companies relative to the net present value of the deposits and relative to their ability to generate free cash flow,
Yeah.
truly cash flow in excess of the money that's needed for sustaining capital investments has been stellar.
Yeah. It has actually been quite phenomenal. I have 2025 at $543 million free cash flow for OceanaGold. Um, and the company, much like the comment that I made about Go Gold, is actually also in a fairly healthy financial situation. Just off the top of my head here, they have a very strong balance sheet, about 350 million in cash and no debt. So it's a nice hold for me. So unlike you, I am long still OceanaGold. How about a Cisco Metals? You familiar with this one?
Yes, quite. I'm a longtime friend of Sean Roosen. I had a reasonable position in Oceana. It gave me everything I wanted.
Yeah.
I'm an ex-shareholder.
Okay.
I have Osisko now as a six based on valuation. Love the people, like as opposed to love the deposit. No longer own it.
No. Okay. One of the comments I'll make specific to Osisko Metals is it's been a long time since I have observed insider buying,
Right.
the way that Mr. Brzezinski has been collecting stock of Osisko Metals. And along with
And,
that, also Agnico Eagle that picked up a couple of tranches of bite size, not bite size, but chunky positions in Osisko Metals.
and I would suggest it's not unlikely that Misters Brzezinski and Al-Jundi of Agnico Eagle, likely know more than I.
Yeah, yeah. These are things I sometimes, Rick, I sometimes observe uh, to my peril because I get so caught up sometimes in the insider trading and transactions that I start, uh, double guessing or questioning my own thesis as to why I'm invested in it or why I'm no longer investing in it, depending on what it might be. Just because of some of the activities that you see from time to time, not always keeping in mind or taking into consideration that many of these transactions are insider transactions prompted by RSU vestings or stock option vestings or performance share units or whatever that are being converted to cash or just you know become available to the holders. But anyway, these are sometimes when I go down that proverbial rabbit hole, I just keep going, you know. But you know what? In my defense, I think I've heard you mention before, if you're not prepared to spend at least a few hours, every week or every whatever month doing homework, then you probably shouldn't be invested in these at all, right? So,
I think at least an hour a month,
yeah,
but a real hour. I don't mean listening to podcasts. I mean proxies, resource statements, quarterly reports, balance sheets,
yeah,
insider filings.
yeah,
It's really, really, really important that you know your portfolio. If you know your portfolio, the periodic share price declines that you see
yeah,
don't shake you out
yeah,
of what is otherwise a good story.
yeah. All right. Down to the final stretch here. Two to go. Sierra Madre.
Don't know enough about Sierra Madre to comment.
Okay, so I was fortunate to be in Sierra Madre early. I in a recent private placement, Sprott and Franklin were the main participants, and that raised about 25 million or something like that. But I am very fortunate in that my original cost basis on Sierra Madre was about 32 or 35 cents. And just for what it's worth, I embrace and follow the same philosophy as the legend Rick Rule from that point of view, that I'm not averse to taking my investment off the table and letting the house's money just do whatever it does from that point forward. So we'll skip Sierra Madre and leave it for that. No ranking. And the last one I have for you is Talisker. Are you familiar with Talisker?
I am. Talisker is unranked because I'm reviewing my own work on Talisker. I don't own it, but I am trying to incorporate some new understanding and drill results into my ranking on Talisker. I
All
don't
right.
own it.
So we went through 10 of them, and we have a few fours and fives and sixes. There's no obvious standout, is there, Rick, in terms of what I shared with
Uh,
you?
to me, uh, because in my old age, I view quality. To me, Cameco is the standout.
Cameco is a standout, yeah.
It may not be the best performer,
Hmm.
but on a risk-adjusted basis, it's the finest company in the portfolio. There are changes in the uranium market, in particular the fact that increasingly uranium is priced in term contracts rather than at spot, that will lead to a better understanding of Cameco's value and lower their cost of both debt and equity capital. This pricing metric, contract pricing, doesn't exist in any other commodity that I'm aware of, except in a very limited basis in oil and gas and things like volumetric production payments. You very seldom have long-term obligations between the buyers and sellers at fixed prices and fixed volume in any commodity other than uranium. This adds a certainty in the uranium space, at least where the contractual party is investment quality rather than a trader,
Hmm.
that over the next 10 years will A, lower the cost of capital and B, increase the certainty. around the uranium industry. And Cameco's the 900-pound gorilla.
Yeah. Yeah, so much like the example I shared earlier, and copying the Rick Rule philosophy on that one, my firstly for me, Cameco is a foundational stock. It's been in my portfolio for many years, and as a result, I've also had the benefit of my original cost basis in Canadian dollars was $28 or something.
Right.
And that was at a time when the Canadian dollar and the US dollar were sort of more on par, so maybe in US dollars it might have been $26 or something like that. So I was also able over the years to follow that same methodology and just de-risk the position entirely and sell my original investment and take it off the table. I do from frequently remind my audience that no one gets poor taking profit. And I do appreciate as well that it's sometimes maybe emotionally or psychologically much easier to buy for many people than what it is for them to sell. Uh, and like I don't necessarily claim to have an understanding of that human trait, but it pops up frequently where I remember a few years ago when I exited Petrobras, which I had over the course of maybe a couple of years said to my audience, and we had many comments in the comment section on the YouTube videos related to Petrobras. I said it's probably the cheapest super major you can buy. At the time, I was trading, $8 or whatever the case might be. And when I actually exited the position, I exited the entire position. And once again, to steal one of your favorite lines is when you get a lot of hate, then you probably made a good choice, right? So when I exited that position, it was, whatever, $20 or something. My cost basis was about $8, and I said, okay, that's it, I'm over and out. And one of the major geopolitical risk factors at the time was the switch from Bolsonaro to Lula. And I just didn't know. And when I feel insecure and uncertain, and I'm sitting in a profit position, I basically do what you had alluded to earlier, and in this case, I just exited the position, paid the tax, and find another one, or park the money in Exxon until I know where to put it next. You know?
It is very odd, I think, because many people buy narrative as opposed to work. It's odd, but people especially seem loath to sell stocks that are up. I think that's because the price action in the stock justified the narrative. It gives them the courage to pay attention to the narrative. It might be something so simple as when they look on their statement, the stocks that are up make them feel smart, and the stocks that are down make them feel stupid.
Yeah,
I don't know what the reason is,
yeah,
but it's very odd that in a circumstance where something as fundamental as the fiscal regime one is operating under changes,
yeah.
that people are so loath to take it into account. I have learned, as you suggest,
Hmm.
that if something I do engenders overwhelming support, I'm usually wrong.
Hmm.
And if something engenders overwhelming opposition, I'm usually right.
Hmm.
When years ago, I, among other sins, operated a small broker dealer in the US, uh, I always acted on extremes of opinion. Specifically, I counted the tickets in the cage every day.
Hmm.
If 80% of the transactions on one day were buys, the next day I'd sell something. And if 80% of the transactions were sells, the next day, reflexively, I would buy.
Yeah,
And while I'm not normally a reflexive speculator, that timing, that sentiment indicator,
yeah.
worked extraordinarily well for me.
Hmm.
When recently I announced that I'd sold 80% of my physical silver for fairly complex reasons, because I thought there were better speculative avenues to deploy the cash. The hate that I got on social media was, well, it was very reassuring. Let's just say that.
Receiving a lot of hate is sometimes very refreshing,
Mm,
because yeah, it sometimes just reminds you probably did something good.
correct.
But yeah. So, Rick, thank you for that. But before I let you go, um, we have a chance right now. I'm assuming there's still tickets available for people who want to sign up to the Rule Symposium, which is coming up on July the 6th to 10th in Boca. Do you want
Well,
to tell us a little bit about that?
I do. Thank you for the opportunity. Uh, First of all, I honestly believe that our Natural Resources Investment Symposium is the best high net worth retail symposium in the natural resources business. We've been putting it on for about 30 years. It gets a little bit better every year.
Mhm.
So it's had time to get pretty good. And it is pretty good, as I think that you can attest. Uh, we have great macro thinkers at that conference, which will tell you about the way the world is, as opposed to the way that Fox or CNBC would have you believe. After we have perhaps affirmed, perhaps contradicted your worldview, we have great analysts from natural resources and precious metals, people who've been in the space for 40 years, not just people who made their reputation the last year and a half when the stock prices were up.
Yeah.
We have great money managers, which is different than analysts in the Slate place, the John Hathaways, the Justin Tolmans of the world, the Adrian Days of the world, people who have lived in natural resources through thick and thin, bull markets and bad, telling you about the mistakes they made, the things they got right, and how those can make you better investors. Every public company exhibitor at our conference has been vetted. They are all owned in my account. No guarantee, sadly, because I own them, they go up, but there is a guarantee that I have vetted them. At every other investment conference I know, the qualification to be an exhibitor is a check
Mhm.
that cashes. But your best guarantee is that if you attend my conference, either live or via live stream, first of all, you'll have access to recordings for a year, which you will need. But secondly, there's an absolute money back guarantee. Unlike any other investment conference I know of on the planet, including some good ones, at our conference, if you attend and you don't think I've earned the tuition, I will refund the tuition. In 30 years of making that guarantee, Rudy, I'm delighted to say I've had to refund about 1/10 of 1% of the tuition charge, but that's your guarantee. Now, as to availability, for the first time in 20 years, this year's live conference will sell out. Um, I'm guessing we have about 30 days left before we've sold out of space. We have 11 rooms left in our hotel block. So if you want to come to the conference and stay at the conference hotel, uh, which I think you want to do in midsummer in Florida,
Yeah.
you have to act very quickly. We've expanded the room block 4 times. The hotel has no more rooms. We have 50 rooms next door at the Hyatt. So if you're less fussy about where you stay, that's fine. We could sell any number of tickets online. So if you don't want to come to Boca, by the way, conferences are better live than recorded.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to come to Boca, we had 1,400 investors from 33 countries last year. We'll have 3,000 in attendance online this year.
Mhm.
By all means, attend online. Whether you attend live or live stream, you have access to the tapes for a year, and there is an absolute money back guarantee.
Thank you. I can vouch from a personal point of view that it is absolutely worth attending in person. Obviously, I have done so myself. Some of the companies that we just talked about, I actually met for the first time at the Rule Symposium. And what's neat about it is you actually get to meet the people most of the time who actually make the decisions and run the company, and that's in itself a bonus. Um, I will add a link to for people to sign up in the description below the video. So if they act quickly, they could probably still get a pass to attend. I would also suggest to the viewers that if they are able to get a room, firstly book a pass to the symposium, and then if you are able to get a room at the hotel, the resort, or the hotel next door, that is definitely worthwhile because even though there are a lot of hotels in reasonable close proximity, you don't want to be taking an Uber or valet parking every day when you're going in and out of the resort. So if you can avoid that one, in addition to saving you a few $100s, it's probably also worthwhile because you're in and amongst where the action will be. So I will add a link and then good luck to the people who want to sign up. Just act quickly before the passes sell out. And on that note, Rick, Thank you once again for your time. It's great to see you, and I sincerely appreciate the fact that you set aside some time to speak to my audience and myself and educate us a little.
Well, thank you. I look forward to seeing you in Boca.
All
Won't be
right.
long now.
Okay. Guys, that's it for this recording. And thank you for joining us, and thank you for checking in. And we will speak to you soon.